What's good, YouTube? Flash Speaks back for another video. All right, as we enter the end of NFL season, the first game we're going to get is Thursday night. I believe it is the in Baltimore. Well, I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I know the two teams are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. Not sure who will be the home team here, but a repeat of the AFC Championship game. And then this will be followed by the game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers, which is going to take place on Friday night. And here, Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe, along with Swagu, Marcus Spears, debate their thoughts on who will win the NFC out of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to let them talk and then chime in because I believe there's a lot of really good talking points to discuss here.
The Packers and Eagles are heading to Brazil for their Week 1 matchup this Friday. While both teams have Super Bowl aspirations, they're coming off last season with different frames of mind. The Eagles are hoping to bounce back after a disappointing second half, while the Packers made it to the divisional round in Jordan Love's first year under center. Swagu, tell me this. Who's the bigger threat to win the NFC? Is it the Packers or the Eagles?
I'm going Eagles, Molly, and it's hard because this thing is really like I think the four teams at the top of the NFC is obviously San Francisco, Detroit, Green Bay, and Philly. But I think the addition of Saquon Barkley, look, this Eagles team last year was about their mentality. They were shot mentally. This was not about ability or if they had the guy. We know A.J. Brown is an elite wide receiver. We know he's one of the top guys when it's going. We know that Devontae Smith, the young wide receiver, is one of the best two complementary guys, could be a one on a lot of other organizations. You look at the addition of Saquon Barkley that they bring in. Get back to what made Philly 2 years ago, and I think this team becomes the biggest threat because the talent is littered all over the field as well. I get the excitement of Jordan Love. I think Detroit is a team that's built to last. But the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, now there's one caveat. Jason Kelce will be sitting on Monday Night Countdown with me, which I think is huge. Obviously, we know he's a future Hall of Famer, center. That's a big time thing you got to replace. But I believe that this team last year, mentality-wise, something was missing. And if you want to make the case that they shouldn't be because of that, I understand it 100% based on how the season ended for them. But if they get that part right, mixed with Vic Fangio coming in and Kellen Moore calling offense, having more continuity, more of an identity, I think Philly is the biggest threat.
I agree with him generally here. But he felt like he was a little bit all over the place to me here. But I agree generally. Now, first talking about the Green Bay Packers, I think the Green Bay Packers, without a doubt, were the opposite of the Eagles last year. The Green Bay Packers had actually started off slow with Jordan Love getting his first crack at that starting lineup. And they ended off strong. So if you look at the way the two teams ended, you know, a lot of things could point to Green Bay if you feel that that's a significant thing. However, when we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, Swagu's, you know, somewhere he kind of got to where I'm going here. But when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you have a team that I think was more so a perennial contender, at least over the last couple of seasons. It was pretty much the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, and the San Francisco 49ers. The difference this season is I think a few more teams can be added to the mix now with legit chances. You would add there the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and for some even maybe the Rams because, you know, depending on how you feel about how far they've fallen from the Super Bowl they just won a few years ago. You may even include the Rams. I'm of the opinion that the Philadelphia Eagles, for the most part, experienced last year the typical Super Bowl hangover the teams go through. Because I'm not only judging by just going 10-1 and then falling off. I'm looking at the quality of play. I'm looking at the loss of the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators they had in 2022. And looking at the differences that were there. A lot of information has come out that actually the defensive coordinator who replaced Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, was overrun by Nick Sirianni for the most part. Nick Sirianni being the guy who has a reputation for calling bad offense, putting together bad offense, and actually calling bad offenses on game day. I think that's pretty much what happened with the offense. That'll explain that side of the ball. As far as the defensive side of the ball, I think there's a problem with philosophy. I think there's a problem with the talent there, and I think there was a problem with coaching. All right, so the main problem with the defense was the difference in the secondary. Okay, you had C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who was probably the best player on that back seven in 2022. Eagles just failed to re-sign him. They also let go the other starting safety, Marcus Epps. Marcus Epps, though not, you wouldn't say, a top 10 or 15 safety in the league or anything, but as a strong safety in this particular defense, he was the intimidator back there. He was the guy that, that hit you. And he really did have a good year in 2022. He was going too, so both safeties were gone. Darius Slay's a year older. He was still fine, but a year older. And then James Bradbury, for some reason unexplicable, just fell off a cliff. And then you had Avonte Maddox in the slot, who was constantly in and out the lineup, injured a lot. So you had a secondary that fell off big time. And this, I believe, affected the pass rush. You also had the loss of Javon Hargrave, who went to the San Francisco 49ers, who had contributed 11 sacks the year before. So I would say the Super Bowl hangover coupled with these changes in the lineup would explain the defense. And with the offense, it would be just that Nick Sirianni pretty much undermined the offensive coordinator, took the reins of calling plays on game day, according to Ramona Shelburne. And this is why the offense was vanilla and pretty much figured out by every defense we faced after Belichick and Flores.
Well, see, you hit it on the end.
Go ahead, Shannon.
So you tell me, so what that defense gonna do? Because Fletcher Cox retired. So who they gonna stop? Mm-hmm. You remember last year how bad that defense was? And we kept talking about it, Swagu. Yep. And I kept telling Eagles fans when they got up to this great start, I say never accept anything in a win you wouldn't in a loss. You were winning these games, but your check engine light was on. And you wouldn't get it fixed until it put you downside the road. And then all of a sudden you lose 4 straight, you go into the playoffs, you get bounced, and boom, here we go. The thing is, look, Jalen Hurts is going to have to get back. He turned the ball over far too many times last year, and maybe he was hurt. But you can't go out there and use hurt as an excuse. Either sit down or you have to play better. You know how this thing goes, Swagu. We both played for an extended period of time. And if you hurt and you go out there on the field, all they saw was 84 and 96 on your back, and they expected you to make plays as if you were 100% healthy. And so that is my concern. I love the skill position players. The offensive line is still going to be solid. You do lose a key cog in the middle of that offense with Kelsey moving on. But they still got Mailata, you got Landon Dixon, you got Lane Johnson. So you got pieces, and you brought in Saquon. But my question is defensively, because where was Fangio last year? Was he in Miami? Where was he at last year?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Miami.
How did they look defensively? How did they look defensively, Swagu?
Not
Shannon,
great.
don't do that. They lost a lot of guys to injury now. Don't. Vic Fangio been really good calling defense in his career, man.
Yeah, I kind of get where Shannon is coming from. That was a question mark for me with Vic Fangio. However, I do agree with Swagu in that you judge a guy over the tenure of his career. You look at the whole sample size. You don't just look at, the last place he was, without going into detail as to what may have contributed, to what happened last year. I like so far what we're seeing from Vic Fangio. I like what he's saying. I like the the players that were brought in. And briefly, Shannon Sharpe for some reason brings up Fletcher Cox. Well, Fletcher Cox was about, I believe, in his 15th season, so it was about time for him to go. Like, keeping Fletcher Cox, or the absence of Fletcher Cox doesn't bring for question marks. And these guys should know that the Philadelphia Eagles have invested heavily in the defensive tackle position. They've invested 2 first-round picks in the defensive tackle in consecutive years, the first being the Georgia Bulldog. Goodness gracious, Jordan Davis. And then in the second year, Jalen Carter. The Georgia Bulldogs defense, which for years, last 2 years, was like the number 1 defense in college, national championship winners. So the Eagles grabbed their 2 interior tackles who were seen as the best guys, in the draft at their position. So they were prepared for Fletcher Cox leaving. And then with Jason Kelce as well, they were prepared by drafting the center, Cam Jurgens. I forget the college. Was he Purdue? One of those colleges. I believe he went to Purdue. They drafted him years ago. He's a guy that Jason Kelce actually helped him to pick. He feels like he's a guy that can do a lot of things he did. He's actually bigger, a little stronger, just as nimble, can get to the second level of the defense. Those things that Jason Kelce can do. And then on top of that, he was trained in the offense over the last 2 years. And then last year he played tackle and was very productive there as well. So Cam Jurgens, I don't think there's going to be much of a problem with him stepping in. And then when you add to the fact that offensive responsibility duties have been taken away from Nick Sirianni, and Kellen Moore's been given full autonomy, besides his reputation that some people have with him that he doesn't run the ball at the right time and all that kind of stuff, little stuff like that, I think he'll be fine. I think this will be the greatest amount of talent he's worked with the Eagles, even though Dallas has some good talent, and the same thing with the Chargers. But I think this is the greatest if you consider everything, along with the offensive line, the quarterback as well. I'm not impressed with Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert. I don't care about how much talent you think they have. Those things don't really impress me. I think that Kellen Moore will be fine. We survived Andy Reid, who never likes to run the ball. So I'm sure Kellen Moore can't be any worse than that.
Stephen A., before you go, Stephen A., let me add this point before you go. Sure. When they dropped 70 on the Broncos, and then the following week, they went to Buffalo. With everybody healthy, Vic Fangio calling that defense, A Swagu, for the people at home that didn't have cable at the time, what did Buffalo do to Fangio's defense?
They mauled them. Go ahead, Stephen A., take off. Come on, man. Go ahead, Stephen A. I got to go back at Shannon for that, bro, because he know he dead, bro.
Well, he's not dead wrong about that, because Buffalo did stomp them the week after they dropped 70 or whatever. That is true, okay? That is true. That happened. But far be it for me and my non-football self to bring this point up, but I just think it's apropos. There is such a thing, correct me if I'm wrong, of a potent offense making up, to some degree, for a porous defense. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now, okay, think about this right here. Even though Jason Kelce is gone, all right, and Pro Football Focus had them ranked as the top offensive line in football over the last 2 years, they've only dipped one spot to number 2 at this particular moment in time. They're still expected to have an elite offensive line. So we anticipate that Jalen Hurts is going to be protected. You still got AJ.
Because Pro Football Focus said that? Doesn't mean it can be wrong, but I just think that's funny that the way Stephen A. Smith will use stats, just to prove an argument at one moment and then not care about them at another time. It's just interesting.
Brown, Mr. New $32 million a year man. You got Devontae Smith. You got Goddard as well, okay? And then you picked up Saquon Barkley. And so you got a safety net to dip the ball to when you in trouble, as opposed to needing to play hero ball. You're going to move the chains. You're going to sit up there, chalk up yardage, if not points. Oh, by the way, they acquired an offensive coordinator who was formerly in Los Angeles with the Chargers, who was in where the year before that? Dallas. Okay, that division, who had one of the top 2 most potent offenses in all of football. What was his problem? They tried to act like, oh, damn, he's scoring too much. He's not giving the defense a reprieve. When we found out what the real issue was, that Mike McCarthy wanted to call the damn plays himself because he's thinking about his own job security and making sure that he buffers his stature and his cachet to make sure he's gainfully employed for years to come. And by the way, for the audience that wants to look at me and think that I'm being a cynic about Mike McCarthy, I'm not hating on him by any stretch of the imagination, but it is notable to point out he did lie to get the job. He joked about saying whatever he thought Jerry Jones wanted to hear to get the head coaching job in Dallas to begin with. So who's to say that should be beyond him to say what the hell needs to be said so he could get offensive play calling responsibilities away from a dude that was in line to be his successor in the event that he messed up and didn't win. Okay, so all of a sudden Kellen Moore's up out of there and he there calling plays and doing the same damn thing.
Oh, man. Stephen A. stupid as hell.
He was complaining about Kellen Moore doing when Kellen Moore was running the offense, which was throwing the damn football too much. That's exactly what Mike McCarthy doing. That's why Swagu got that smile on his face, because he know I'm telling the truth.
He can't help
I'm telling the truth. So now we got,
cannot help himself.
and so now we got this. We got Kellen Moore, we got Saquon Barkley added to a talented squad, and oh, by the way, we know Sirianni no longer has the excuse of losing both coordinators and really not being prepared for a season. He got that going on. I'm saying the combination of all of that, along with the fact that we're just a season ago removed from the Philadelphia Eagles nearly winning the Super Bowl championship.
Yeah.
We're pretty much the same squad. Yeah. Shannon, I'm sorry. I know Jordan Love is that dude, and I know the Green Bay got some weapons, but I got to roll with Philadelphia with this question.
That's why I'm mad at you, Shay. That's why I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you.
All right, so 2-1 Philadelphia. All right. Let's see what Shannon got to say.
You remember what happened in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I am.
In the Super Bowl, what happened? You remember Patrick Mahomes? It is how many possessions did he have in the second half? How many of those possessions ended in touchdowns? How many of those possessions ended in points? That's the defense you're talking about.
All of them.
Okay.
All of them. Shay, right. Don't do that. There was an untimely. There was an interception thrown. There was a pass interference call. Let's go through the whole thing.
Yep.
If we gonna go through the whole thing, let's do it
all.
What you drinking, Swagu?
Shannon the outlier going with the
I just got
Packers.
some water. I just got some water. That's it. Just water.
So you got a mug. You pick that up, Molly. So he got water in a mug. Really? He got water in a mug. Really? Really?
So anyway, it's gonna be interesting. This game between the Eagles and the Packers. It's rare you're gonna find me to pick against the Eagles in a situation where it's close. So because I'm rooting for Philadelphia to go do it, though I have a lot of respect for the Green Bay Packers. They look really good, especially down the stretch. And then that game against the Dallas Cowboys where they shocked most people. It didn't really shock me because it's Dallas. And then they went out and put up a hell of an effort, against the 49ers, where I really felt like they had them beat, but those defensive playmakers in that 49ers, especially that linebacking core, they really made the difference, man, and turned the tide. All right, so that's pretty much it, man. We going to be getting ready for that game. We might go live from here. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'll get with y'all later. Peace out.